joining us right now. Bret Baier, our friend from Special Report there on Fox News. Hey, Bret.
Good morning, guys. Watch your bacon intake there.
Dude, you should have seen Ed Gillespie putting away the bacon. I mean, if bacon were votes, Gillespie's our next senator from Virginia. Unfortunately, it's not. Bret, let's talk about the Secret Service story that continues to unravel, and now this latest revelation has more to do with the White House, actually, and the prostitution scandal in Colombia. The Washington Post now reporting that the White House knew very well that there was a staffer involved in that prostitution scandal, and actually it kept it quiet during the 2012 re-election campaign. This is really a mess for the White House, isn't it, Bret?
Well, listen, I saw a lot of people on Twitter and Facebook saying, what's the big deal now? And I think the Washington Post did an amazing job laying out this story in detail above the fold yesterday.
Right.
Saying, basically, if all pans out from these whistleblowers, the White House lied. Asked repeatedly about a White House advance team member involved. They said no. And, I think it's just a broader issue about transparency and answering questions.
Yeah.
I looked at that story, though, Bret. It occurred to me, and other people have made the same observation, I'm not alone in it, that nothing happens in a vacuum in Washington, D.C. There's always a reason when something like that comes out of the blue. Nobody saw this story coming. Boom, here it is. Well, it happens to turn out that two of the people who would have been involved in knowing about this person are being considered for the job of Attorney General.
Yeah, exactly. And that really raises questions about their viability. And in fact, Kathy Rumler, I don't think will be in the mix.
Former White House counsel who was named in this article.
Right.
I think you're right, and there is always ulterior motive. But I also think that the Washington Post has done a fantastic job on the Secret Service story overall, and the retort from the White House that this is old news.
Yeah, doesn't stand
It's
up.
quite something.
Hey, Bret, also this week, the dominant story in America was the Ebola crisis and the handling of the patient down in Texas, and then we're hearing about more patients. And there, again, seems to be this overall feeling that the government, led by the administration, is just not on top of this issue. If there's one thing that many people thought about Barack Obama when he was running for president, I think one of the cases that he made was he was going to be competent, at least. But this is now actually starting to whittle away at that perception, isn't it?
Well, I think there is a fear about it, but you have to point out that there has been one confirmed case. There has been one fatality, obviously, Thomas Duncan in Dallas. We haven't seen others. You had the HHS chief Burwell saying that there will likely be others, but so far there haven't been. Mm-hmm. Now, I think there are legitimate questions about travel bans and flights from Liberia, but they have stepped up screening. I think you have to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in the interim, but there are definitely questions, and I think it adds to this angst about the world overall and how we fit into it.
I got a journalism question for you, Bret, because we did a story here the other day. We told about, I know you've seen the story. This guy, Jason Matea is his name?
Jason Matea,
he's one of these guys who jumps out and asks questions, and hard questions of people, and it always makes a little ripple of news. And he went after Lois Lerner in her neighborhood while she was walking her dog. I made the observation that, I, as a journalist, and I know you remember some of these, I have jumped out and questioned politicians from time to time.
I remember them well.
Yeah, and I don't ever recall going to someone's house and doing it. And when I raised it, I thought it was a little out of line. We got phone call after phone call after phone call. I said, Wilson, what's wrong with you? This was complete within bounds. What do you think about that?
Well, there is a decorum, but I think that, Lois Lerner has clearly put herself out there in a recent interview with Politico saying she did nothing wrong, and she hasn't really answered questions. So I think there is a want to try to get her to answer questions. Now, she's not likely to do that walking the dog. So you have to balance the, effectiveness versus the theater. And I think that's a news organization's, decision-making process.
Yeah. But under what circumstances is it okay to jump out and do that in your mind?
Well, I think, somebody in the center of something that is hiding from answering questions, in public forums, I think, it should be questioned. We've done it walking down halls of Capitol Hill many times.
Oh, yeah, right.
And, whether it's okay to go to the House, I think you have to make that judgment call.
Yeah. Bret, we saw a lot of gas from Vice President Joe Biden over the last, over the last 2 decades, but a whole lot over the last couple of weeks. And there have actually been whispers going on in the district about whether he is still got it together. Is this a real sort of whisper campaign, or do you think the Clintons are behind it? What do you think?
I tell you what, it has been an increasing number. I mean, it's obviously he has that tick every now and then where he says one extra thing. That,
we love that about him.
But it's been a lot lately, and some of them have international consequences. He was in Joplin, Missouri, gave a speech very impassioned about the tornado there. He said there were 161,000 people killed.
Yeah.
Well, there were 161 killed.
Yeah.
There's 50,000 people in Joplin, Missouri.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think.
Well, but this last round, though, it has brought into question his judgment, because the question is, should he have said what he said? And he's had to apologize to a whole lot of people.
About Turkey, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia.
What he said may be true, but whether he should have said it while the administration's trying to get this coalition to do more, I think it's pretty clear he shouldn't have if you listen to everybody inside Washington.
Bret Baier, we got to wrap it up, but last week we pressed the issue of baseball in the nation's capital. You came down on the side of the Nationals. Nationals are now out of it. Are you going to jump ship and hop on the Orioles bandwagon? Bret Baier.
Of course. Of course.
There we go.
Right. Thank you, Bret Baier.
Go O's.
Always good to have you.